Termites, destructive, ingenious, tenacious, and there can be millions close to you. Whether you design, build, or just live inside structures, you already know that termites are incredibly destructive. What you may not know is that they are ingenious, and they are tenacious. And if you live in a warm, moist climate, there may be millions of termites just outside your building, and eventually inside your building. There are several basic yet important things to understand about these destructive creatures. They travel into structures to reach food, which is basically wood. Then they travel out of structures to get moisture from the soil and to take food to their colony. Because termites are blind and have little defense against predators, they need protection. This is where their ingenuity comes in. They construct mud tubes to travel in and out of structures safely. What you are about to see took place over a 19-day period at a home which was infested by termites. This could have just as easily been a multi-story building. To prepare for this project, we removed their mud tube, but their tenacity takes over. The termites went a few feet down the wall and built a replacement tube. The second one is massive compared to the one we destroyed, so we can add adaptive behavior with community intelligence to their character traits. Here is a solution to this problem, which uses no pesticides. Particle Barrier is a way to stop termites without chemicals. This method was developed over 60 years ago and has been used for decades in Hawaii, Australia, and other Pacific nations. Particle Barrier forms a physical barrier that termites can't penetrate. Particle barriers can be built into a new construction or can be added to existing structures. Particles have to be smaller than this screen opening of 6 mesh and larger than this 14 mesh. Particles also must be angular. Angularity causes the particles to pack together firmly. Once installed, termites can't tunnel up from underneath and can't tunnel down to get moisture. They can't crawl through the particles, and they can't move the particles. They can't take food to the colony or get the moisture needed to survive. Now the project starts. First, we remove the new mud tube. We found lots of termite activity. Next, we dug a trench along the wall about 10 inches in either direction. We cleaned the wall and made sure no dirt was left because the termites could avoid the particles by going through the mud on the wall. Once the trench was dug and the wall cleared, we poured Particle Barrier into the trench. Then we waited for the termites to build their third mud tube. After just 6.5 hours, the termites had begun construction of a new mud tube. They worked steadily into the night. After 14 hours, the tube reached ground level. At that point, the termites ran into the particle barrier. The termites try, unsuccessfully, to move the particles, but the particles are too big for them to move and too small to crawl between. Some termites run across the edge of the particles to see if they can find dirt. This, of course, is very dangerous, and, sure enough, along comes a spider who finds an easy meal. 15 hours into the project, the termites have failed to move the particles and have concluded that the only way to reach dirt is to extend the mud tube horizontally across the edge of the particle barrier. Termites worked through the night. 18 hours into the project, they'd extended the mud tube almost 2 inches. At hour 28, the mud tube had extended about 4 inches. Mud tube construction stopped at approximately 7 inches and 44 hours into the project. At 19 days, there had been no more activity. We removed the mud tube and saw that only 3 or 4 soldiers remained in the tunnel area. This is good news because soldiers do not eat wood or reproduce. We came back 4 months later and inspected the home and found no new termite mud tunnels. Particle Barrier is just one part of our system. If you're building a new structure, you can build in Termite Barrier, which is also a waterproofing product. You start by applying waterproofing and termite barrier under the slab. This blocks both water and termites from coming through the concrete joints and cracks. Next, cover your foundation wall with waterproofing termite barrier. Now you've blocked water and termites from entry into the basement area. We then apply waterproofing termite barrier under sills and at the base of the wall. There's really a lot more to show, but we should mention 3 other termite entry points where barrier will block. First, plumbing and electrical penetrations are sealed using sealant. Next, termite entries at bath traps and mop sinks are blocked. Finally, the exposed concrete perimeter is protected using the particle barrier which you earlier saw in the video. Termite barriers were developed beginning in November 1999, working with entomology scientists at Texas A&M and other major universities. Over that period, we've developed and tested these term physical barriers. If you want to see more, visit polyguardbarriers.com. This video was made by the Term Barrier Division of Polyguard.